Federico Sandri is an Italian industrial designer and one part of the dream team Debiasi Sandri. What does he have that sees Rak Ceramics commission them to design a range of wash basins for them to be considered the go-tos for bathroom design? Do Italians always do everything best? Let's find out. Welcome. Italian cars, Italian furniture, the country, the food. What have you bought me for an icebreaker today? Welcome to the Designerati podcast.
Talking about Italy, I brought you a cup of espresso, but just because it is a symbol of social interaction. Because, for example, the coffee is the main excuse to meet someone and to talk with people. And I think this is important for Italians in general, but also for any kind of social relation that could be job or spare time or whatever.
Yeah.
When you need to meet the people, you don't say tomorrow we'll meet, but you say tomorrow we'll have a coffee.
Okay. So the icebreaker is all about sharing something that people typically wouldn't associate with you. So are you telling me you're not sociable?
Well, honestly...
Are you antisocial? You do not like people?
No, well, I could appear antisocial, honestly, because I also like to stay on my own, far from everybody and everything. But from time to time, I also love social relation, talk with people, and all these kind of common things.
Yeah. But thank you. I appreciate the espresso.
Yeah.
I love a good coffee bean. Beautifully. You actually you've recently designed some fantastic ceramics, including a coffee machine, haven't you?
Yeah, a few years ago, our first collaboration with the Danish manufacturer Stelton was all about coffee. And since their company has a huge heritage of classical designs regarding the world of coffee, they had like thermos, carafe, pots, and whatever. So we thought that our best way to introduce ourselves to the company was to work around the coffee world. And so we designed for them a range of items that to make coffee in the Italian way, using this what we called mocha or mocha pot.
Like the little percolators that you put on the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We used to have the silver one, the very traditional, the kind of hex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The aluminium one,
The
which has a very interesting history in the Italian design, because it was made by Bialetti, which before the war was a company specialized in aluminium. And then after the war, they used their knowledge to build this kind of item. However, for Stelton, we wanted to consider all these coffee brewing and actions almost like a ritual, where you can take your time and relax and brew your personal coffee personally. I don't know, smelling the aroma of the coffee beans while grinding them and whatever. And to do that, we thought we had to make this kind of objects somehow desirable and with their own personality. And to reach this goal, we worked with the material combination. For example, we used a very matte black coating, wooden handle. Then we work with some specific proportion that make this range of items quite notable in a good way, I hope so.
It's such a beautiful product. So it's matte black and it has a wooden handle and then a gold top.
On the top it has quite disproportioned spout in order to give personality to the item. And then probably people liked this very first range, and so the whole family enlarged, and it became a complete range of different items. We have a teapot, a bartender shaker, a water flask.
But why do people like it? Why have you got the Midas touch? Why have you created something that people like?
Well, this is almost a mystery. Let's say that when we create some design, we need people. Well, we need to think that people would like them, but there's not a specific recipe to reach this goal. What we usually do, and I would say that it is also our main obsession as a designer, is to try to find the right balance between the expressiveness of an item and between his silentness.
I love that. So let me say that again. You try to achieve the right combination of the item's expressiveness
and
versus
silentness.
its silence.
Yeah.
Love.
Because, you need...
Why do you choose that criteria? And what does that even mean?
I don't know, because I think it's my vision of things. When I have to buy some item for myself, I'm kind of a maniac, but I watch them in every detail, and I need them to be made properly with all the details in place and whatever.
So you have a process. When you look to buy something, you have a set of criteria that you look to.
Yeah. It's not like, how to say, checking the
It's not a
the
checklist,
list,
but it's something that inside is kind of like, it's unspoken.
Yeah, well, there is the first sight, which is important.
Yeah.
But then...
what it looks like.
Yeah, but then, probably because of my profession, I start to watch things in detail, and I watch the proportion, every single ready and whatever, because I think that, we are surrounded by too many objects. And I think that if I have to buy an object, I need it to be perfect for me, because it's not like having a tool, but it's like choosing a companion for a long time, hopefully. And I'm talking about common objects that could be a knife, a ceramic cup, or I don't know, a pen.
I love that. So you believe there's too many objects in the world, and for you, the selection process is like choosing a companion.
Kind of, yes.
Beautiful. You've got to get it right.
Yeah, and this is the same approach we have when designing things. So we think that the things we design need to last, but not last only because of the quality of material and manufacturing.
What is the formula you have inside of yourself, that means, an item is expressing itself in the right way, your words, is silent in the right way. You're not going to get bored of using it. Like, what is your formula?
It's honestly, it's hard to explain, because I don't know, an item that is too much expressive or polarizing for me could be just normal, or
can you explain an item that's too polarizing?
I don't know,
without
complex shapes,
for example,
lot of colors, or lot of material mixes, or
too complicated. So too much
usually
material.
Complication needs
unnecessary.
Yeah.
Can we name any products?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be fair.
Like the Coca-Cola can for me, that makes sense.
Well, it could be. Well, let's imagine the Coca-Cola can with adding it other 10 colors on the graphic design.
Yeah, this would be.
But let's say that there are also items like I don't know, because you're talking about Coca-Cola, like bottles or cans or their specific logo that in the history became very recognizable. So let's say that visually it's not anymore disturbing because it belongs to our heritage or tradition.
Yeah. One of the brands that I particularly love in terms of design is Apple. For me, it's not over-engineered. The packaging, it makes sense. The product is simple.
Yeah. Especially when they started working with aluminium things. And they are a good example, in my opinion, because they found their own way to make things not too polarizing and to balance the as I said, the expressiveness and the silentness. And to do that, they choose simple shapes, simple detail, basic geometries most of the time, and they cared a lot about details.
Your process, your design process, tell me how long is your process?
It depends because
on the product,
on product, on how we feel in that very moment. Because many people think that designing things or creative works, it's all about creativity and inspiration. Personally, I like to think that more than these elements, there are a lot of work. Because you have, in the end, to produce ideas. The ideas doesn't come like clouds passing in the skies. So you need to study, you need to make experience, you need to know many different things, you need to be curious. And so when we approach a new design for a new client, for us it's very important to know very well what clients expect from us, what they expect from our project, how they work, which are their strengths, and things like this. Because you need to know the whole environment of the things you're going to design.
So when you say that part of your design process is studying, is your starting place studying the client and their needs, what they value?
Yeah, exactly. All these things, their needs, their value, their skills in production, and their portfolio. Because if a client asks me, I don't know, let's make a stupid example, a cylindrical glass, and in their portfolio there are only cylindrical glasses, perhaps I would propose, let's make it conic. At least you have something different. But it's important to understand very well what's your client potential and how you could improve their condition, let's say.
Where do you get your inspiration from? Clearly not clouds.
Well, sometimes also clouds. Why not? But from many things. I don't know. A few years ago, we designed a table lamps for the company Norman, Copenhagen, and they are not specialized in table lamps. So we needed an item very simple to produce, to industrialize, and whatever. So we couldn't think about all these mechanisms, for example, to move your lamps. And we've drawn our inspiration from the, I don't know if you ever see them, the fishing pole support, which has this simple metal structure where you just hang your fishing pole and you can easily move it, and just with the weight of the pole, it keeps its position. And we found it was a good way to make things simple.
So you were looking for an alternative mechanism for a light,
from time to time,
and you found inspiration from a fishing pole.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder why. Because it was simple, so simple.
Yeah, because it helps to simplify things. And at the same time, it was also a quite new approach in the lighting world.
Is simple important for you when you're designing?
Yeah.
Simple makes sense.
Yeah, because I think it's part of our culture as designers is to design things, and often trying to take away useless element from what we design.
I think it's so interesting, this simplification. My dad was Italian, so he used to cook the spaghetti. And for him, he would never get bored of this tomato sauce that he would make. And it had the same ingredients, the same process, the same technique. And I value freedom and choice and difference. For him, that's just something that, makes him angry. And this simplicity, I wonder if it's innate within the Italian culture.
Well, maybe. Well, as you talk about food preparation and whatever, thinking about Italian common dishes, they all have in common good ingredients and simple processes. And perhaps it's something that it's somehow innate in our culture, at least in mine. I can't speak for other Italians, but I would say that nowadays simplicity in general, it's quite important.
And we had a conversation before we actually filmed today's podcast downstairs over a coffee, and you mentioned that your partner lives in a different country, and for you, it's simple. You just make it work, particularly over the pandemic. And I'm interested to share more about that.
Yeah, let's say that, me and Daniel, we are working together since 2010. And we met while we were making some experience in different design studios around Italy after our graduations. And then we took our own professional path for a few years. But when we met, we understood that we had more or less the same vision of things, of design things and whatever. So after a few years, we get back in contact, and we said, well, why don't we try to design something and to do something on our own together? But at that time, I was living in Verona, in Italy, while Daniel was living here in London. And we say, okay, let's try. And after 10 years of activity, more than 10 years of activity, actually, we are still living in different cities. Now, Daniel came back to Italy, but now he lives in Bolzano, in the very north, while I live in Bergamo, close to Milan. And probably we found our way to collaborate together, and I think we made it work.
Yeah, geography Has no barriers for you.
Yeah. After these 2 years of pandemic, seems that at least in Italy, people discovered this smart working. They discovered that they can work from home, being productive. And well, I have to say that I'm doing this from more than 10 years, and I knew this.
And also, there's from the people that I'm interviewing, there's a movement towards reducing the amount of travel that we actually get involved with, with the being sustainable, with all this in mind, the carbon footprint.
Yeah, honestly, on one side, I totally agree with it because, talking about the environment, things are getting worse. And they are getting worse in in a very fast way. So I think that it's time to take our own responsibility and trying to find a way to make things work in a good way for us and for our future children and the future generation and whatever. On the other hand, I have to say that as a designer and as a curious person, I found important also traveling, because with traveling you have the possibility to get in touch and to try to understand different culture, different way of seeing things, and so it would be very important to find a way to make both things work. I don't know, perhaps trying to find
the right balance.
The right balance and the right way, the more sustainable way, but without having to renounce too much to some important things.
What do you think's made your studio the go-to design studio for bathroom design?
How to say?
Why are you winning?
I don't know. Perhaps we try to bring the right vision on things.
Simple,
and,
the right amount of expressiveness, the right amount of silence.
Yes. And then I also have to say that especially with ceramics, we really love the materials. And we also consider the bathroom not as an ensemble of items, but as a whole space where each item finds its way to live in this very space. Because, I don't know, probably because of our background. In fact, in Italy, a few years ago, we studied design, but inside University of Architecture. So we always see items as part of bigger picture.
Isn't that interesting? So there's benefit for you in studying design as part of architecture.
Yeah, it's it was quite common in Italy.
And in other countries, how is it different?
I don't know, but for example, I'm sure that in Germany they studied product design. It was a discipline on its own. I don't know here in the UK if it's somehow the product design is somehow related to architecture or it's only product.
But for you, there's value in blending the architecture with the design.
Yes, because we have this vision that products are never items on their own. Products live inside some spaces. They are related to people. They are made with different materials, and so it's not an object made by straight lines and curves and fillet and whatever, but it's a mix of what surrounds it.
Yeah. So give me an example of a bathroom that you've created that you're most proud of, and describe what I would see in that bathroom?
Well, since in these days I'm here in London for presenting the collection we've designed for Rak Ceramics, I think that this is a good example, because Rak is a company from United Arab Emirates, and we designed for them a range of 25 wash basin, mainly used for the project business, for example, hotel and hospitality in general, but you can use them also at your home for sure. And when they contacted us, they had really clear in mind what they needed, while we already knew their fabulous skills in ceramics manufacturing, because ceramic it's a very ancient production process. But at the same time, it's really hard to achieve in production really what you really design, because you have to fire the ceramic, during firing it slopes, and so it's quite complex production process.
Why are they good at it?
I have no idea. I just know that they do very well, and they are very precise. They can reach very thin thicknesses, and the glazing is good and whatever. So for us was a really big pleasure to starting this collaboration. And as I said before, our approach was quite straightforward as well. So in the first instance, we identified some basic shapes from the top view of this basin. So we decided to go for a square, a rectangle, a circle, and some organic oval-like shapes, because in our opinion these simple shapes are the most long-lasting in terms of appealing. Then, of course, we studied very well the proportion, every radius, every detail.
What is the ideal proportion of a sink? I like I don't like the small.
I agree with you, but
when I'm throwing water in my face, for me, I don't want to be doing this, like this. I want to be doing this.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I have to say that I agree with you. But sometimes when you have to make product for hotel business, for example, you don't have room. So as we were talking before, it's all a matter of balance in our profession, because you need to have the biggest basin possible, and it has to fit in the smallest room.
Yeah.
And so we worked with this proportion, trying to find the right dimensions, good for almost all the environment. And then, while we were starting to work three-dimensionally to understand how the real form it was, we decided on one side to celebrate the very precise manufacturing, so giving very thin thickness, very precise shapes. And on the other hand, we also wanted to celebrate the tradition on the ceramic production. So we put in the whole design some curved that seemed like obtained with hand working.
Something that felt handmade.
Handmade, right. Something that recalls at least this world of working ceramic.
The tradition.
Yeah, exactly. And working also with this contrast between industrial and craftsmanship. I think we found the right way to express this word and also reaching the right level of details in order to make these to give these items a certain appeal. So people that choose to live with them, or who choose to specify them in a project, don't get bored of these items. But they need to be considered somehow like something that you choose consciously, not just like a tool, but something that give your space the right identity.
Almost, you know, it makes sense that it brings you joy and that it embodies the same values of you. What I'm hearing you talk about is that all of your items are almost like a family. You know, they all work together, they all kind of feel the same about each other, and, you know, there's no arguments in there. They all embody the same traditional values. What about the taps? How do you make the taps work with the ceramics? How do you...
Well, there are a lot of taps in the world, so for sure there will be also the right one for this. But
are you designing the tap?
We have designed some taps in the past, but not now and not for Rak. But this basin can work both with taps that are coming mounted on the furniture top, mounted on the wall, or there is also some version of this basin that have a tap bank where you can install your tap directly on the ceramic.
What about colour? Colour in bathrooms. How do you feel? Well, don't get angry.
No, I think that
avocado.
So
avocado.
Well,
peach.
I think that.
Would you mind if somebody painted your ceramic sink? Anything other than white? Okay.
Why not? There are many ranges of colors that you can reach nowadays with ceramic, and also with a different level of glossiness, from the crystal gloss till the very matte surface, and that's interesting as well. But in general, talking about color, I think that people, and in general who lives this space, need to be at ease. So, in my opinion, the less complicated, the less polarizing, the less things you have, the better you live. But there are also a lot of people different from me. There are people that if they have in a room less than 200 colors, they don't live well. So, well, respect also for them.
Yeah.
Not my kind, but...
Federico, that was fascinating insight. A whistle-stop tour of Italy, your product process, and a little bit about food as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Pleasure. Now, if you've enjoyed today's podcast, like and subscribe, please. I'm going to be back here every Monday with more incredible guests on the Designerati podcast. I'll see you there.